Hello there, a very great evening to you indeed, and many thanks for joining us on Rwanda Television News tonight. I hope that you had yourselves a great and productive Wednesday. Welcome to today's edition. These are the headlines. President Paul Kagame was awarded an honorary doctorate in public policy and management by the top South Korean university. Prime Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente presented to the parliamentarians the achievements of the first phase of the National Strategy for Transformation, or NST1. Good evening to you once again. We are very glad to have your company. And as we begin tonight's edition, President Paul Kagame expressed his gratitude to Yonsei University in South Korea for awarding him an honorary doctorate in public policy and management, recognizing it as a significant honor for both himself and the country. The ceremony was attended by various dignitaries, including the former Secretary General of the United Nations, His Excellency Ban Ki-moon. In his acceptance speech, President Paul Kagame thanked the university for the great honor they gave him and the country of Rwanda as a whole. He noted that Yonsei University is one of the world's finest universities and that it is of great pride that the university is associated with Rwanda. Citing the country's history, the head of state stressed the importance of citizen-centered governance.
The purpose of public policy is to make our citizens safe, united, free, creative, and prosperous, more or less in that order. On this day, 30 years ago, Rwanda was still in the midst of a genocide that claimed more than 1 million lives. In order to keep power at all costs, the previous regime decided to eliminate one segment of the population known as Tutsi. The forces of the Rwandan Patriotic Front, which I led, put a stop to the genocide after 3 long months. We inherited a country which was completely broken and devastated, physically, financially, and spiritually. Our people were displaced and divided. Establishing security was our first policy objective. Without it, nothing else is possible.
President Paul Kagame further noted that security alone is not enough.
We quickly turned to diagnosing the root causes of the divisions that led to genocide. People in Rwanda have various differences, just as in any other country. Everyone is entitled to that. However, in the relationship between citizens and the state, we decided that all that matters is what unites us, being Rwandans. Ethnic categorization and categories were abolished on identity cards, along with quotas and discrimination of all kinds, including on the basis of religion. Safety and unity allowed us to expand our horizon into the future. But our country was still very poor. Achieving real prosperity requires mindsets of truth-seeking, critical thinking, and creativity. A country also needs to secure the freedom to set its own path, despite the pressures and hypocrisies from the international system, especially for small and medium-sized nations. We decided to focus on instilling these virtues in our young people as a strategy for national transformation. We needed to confront the truth of our history, above all, and ensure that the memory of our tragic past was not forgotten.
The Rwandan president lauded the role of technology and innovation in Rwanda's development journey, citing the role of Irembo platform that eases acquiring all government services. President Kagame called on participants to play a role in closing high levels of inequalities globally.
Through research, scientific discovery, and imparting knowledge and wisdom to young people, I fully expect the encounter between Rwanda and Yonsei University will flourish and bear fruit for decades to come. Every member of the Yonsei community is most welcome in our country.
Founded in 1885, Yonsei University is a private higher learning institution that ranks among the top 3 universities in Korea. It is home to 178 research centers. Prime Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente has presented to the parliamentarians the achievements of the first phase of the National Strategy for Transformation, or NST1 as it is usually referred to, and noting that in the 7 years it has been active, it has seen the national budget increase from 1.9 trillion to more than 5 trillion Rwandan francs.
Among the achievements noted from the first phase of the initiative that is now drawing to a close was the construction of 87 modern settlements, now home to 17,000 people, and the provision of electricity to more than 2.6 million families, up from slightly more than 900,000 back in 2017, with a lot of efforts now focused on the distribution of clean water. We acknowledge that the progress we made in the provision of electricity was not matched when it comes to the distribution of clean water. We are therefore determined to increase our efforts in that respect when it comes to the coming fiscal year of 2024-2025 so that we can achieve the objective we set for ourselves, which is that the distance people travel to access clean water not exceed 500 meters from their homes. We intend to see NST2 provide that solution for the water situation. The parliamentarians also voiced their opinion that more needs to be done in the agricultural sector, while in the education sector it was noted that more than 27,000 classrooms were built, with the number of teachers increasing from slightly more than 71,000 to above 110,000 in total. In the health sector, 7 new hospitals were constructed, and the number of local residents in different parts of the country who make their contributions to the community-based health insurance scheme known as Mutuelle de Santé increased from 83 to 90%, though further improvements are to be made in the way the service is provided.
Umukoro dusigaranye nka leta nuvuga ngo noneho rero niba tugeze ahantu mutuelle de santé ishobora kwishyura ntabwo ari amadeni nyine cost y'abantu bivuje icyo tugomba.
Seeing that Mutuelle is able to cover the costs incurred in the provision of health services is to find ways to increase the number of services covered by the scheme. A feasibility study is therefore underway to determine whether or not the services they receive can be increased, as well as the medicines that they have access to. I can therefore tell you that the assessment is ongoing.
Iri gukorwa ubu ngubu twizera ko nirangira iyi assessment ntabwo ari inyungu ikomeye cyane ni nk'isuzuma.
Over the last 7 years, the national budget has gone from 1.9 trillion to more than 5 trillion Rwandan francs, largely thanks to taxes collected, more than doubling during that period from slightly more than 1 trillion Rwandan francs to the current figure of more than 2.6 trillion Rwandan francs.
The plenary session of the Chamber of Deputies was presented with the report of the Special Committee, which explored the role of the colonial history on regional issues, especially insecurity in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, that has had an impact on the relations between Rwanda and the DRC. The committee was established following the discussions the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Vincent Biruta, had with the deputies on January 26, 2023. The report indicates that the colonial legacy played a major role in the problems between Rwanda and the DRC. From the report findings, the committee chairperson indicated that the presence of the 262 armed groups in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo played a significant role in the regional instability. Various Congolese governments embraced and used the Interahamwe and ex-FAR forces, right from Mobutu's government and others that followed. The fact that Kinshasa officials are not willing to disarm the FDLR indicates how it is important to the country's top officials and military chiefs. Despite international pressure to disarm and repatriate the FDLR, the genocidal force continues to flourish, spreading hate speech, killing the Congolese Tutsi, and attacking Rwanda. The FDLR has been spreading genocidal ideologies, and it has been well received by residents and leaders in the DRC, including the opposition, the civil society, and other armed groups. The report's conclusion concerning the Parliament and the government of Rwanda indicates that various institutions at the continental as well as the United Nations level should be informed of their role in finding a lasting solution to the issue. Establishing measures to engage parliaments in other countries, voting on the laws that punish the genocide ideology and related crimes. The government of Rwanda should request the United Nations, the UN Security Council, to put pressure on the DRC government to protect affected citizens, especially those who are targeted. Also, to dismantle genocidal militia groups, addressing issues of Congolese refugees, some of whom who have been living in Rwanda for almost 30 years now. Requesting countries like France, Belgium, USA, and the United Nations to play a significant role in addressing regional issues by stopping the funding of all militia groups. This report was positively received by the Parliament. We thank the Special Committee for the great work, and as depicted in the law, in regards to the completion of tasks of special committees, after presenting this report to the plenary session, the committee's tasks are officially closed. Parliamentarians pointed out that tensions between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo have been recurring, hence the need for concrete measures to address them in a sustainable manner. The Utilities Regulatory Authority, RURA, has reviewed downward the fuel pump prices with effect June 5th, 2024. Gas oil was put to 1,663 Rwandan francs per litre, down from 1,764 Rwandan francs, which makes a difference of 101 Rwandan francs, while diesel was reviewed to 1,652 Rwandan francs, down from 1,684, which makes a difference of 32 Rwandan francs on the prices of April 2024. According to RURA, the latest adjustments reflect recent variations in international petroleum product prices. Every 2 months, RURA sets a new fuel prices based on global trends. The next update is expected at the beginning of August. Now to security and justice matters. A 2-day symposium on peace, security and justice for the Police Senior Command and Staff course started on Wednesday, June 5th at the National Police College as senior government officials, heads of UN peacekeeping missions, researchers, scholars and academia reflected on addressing challenges affecting peace and security in evolving global dynamics, implications for Africa, as the Inspector General of the Rwanda National Police, IGP Felix Namuhoranye, called on participants to reflect on the long-standing conflicts on the African continent.
The scenario today is that countries A, B, C, and D contribute to a peacekeeping operations, but the failure to achieve the goals of the operations is mostly attributed to the larger UN, to the larger international community, who in actual fact bears responsibility of that failure. If the person to blame at the end of the failure is a person called international community, who is he? Who is she?
On the other hand, Professor Sheriff Folarin, a professor at the Texas State University in the United States of America, who teaches courses in foreign affairs and politics, said that solving the problems of insecurity in Africa should be based on taking care of the well-being of African people.
Food is number one. When stomach infrastructure, as it is called in Nigeria, where you have taken care of the stomach, you have actually solved half of the problem of insecurity in the society. Take food out of it, you have solved half of the problems. 50% of the problems are solved. Then let there be a sustainable income, that is employment. Then you have solved another 30%, that is 80%. So you will need less of security officers or law enforcement. And that's a fact. If we do not remove those things that are called the triggers of insecurity, then we will continue to be in a circle. We will continue going round and round the circle.
Minister of Justice and Attorney General Dr. Emmanuel Ujira Sebuja, while officiating the 11th Symposium edition, noted that issues such as ongoing geopolitical tensions, economic pressures, technological threats, and environmental challenges should be given due consideration in terms of strategic competition among the so-called superpowers, which directly impact the African continent.
For instance, the strategic competition among the so-called superpowers directly impacts Africa. This influence can be seen through economic investments, military aid, and political alliances. It is very important for Africa to navigate these relationships wisely, ensuring that the continent as a whole and individual member states' interests and sovereignty are preserved.
The 12th intake of the Police Senior Command and Staff course is attended by 34 students from Botswana, Kenya, Lesotho, Malawi, Namibia, Somalia, South Sudan, Tanzania, Rwanda are the host. During the 2-day event, participants will explore different topics under the theme Peace and Security in the Evolving Global Dynamics, Implications for Africa. And to more news, the World Bank report indicates over $100 billion in global carbon market raised last year, 2023, could offset 24% of the world's pollutant emissions, including Rwanda. We do have the details by Ishimwe Sandra.
Some citizens have already integrated their forest into the carbon market. Pretonil Mukazitoni from Rulindo and her colleagues, part of a cooperative owning 38.5 hectares, and Esperance Ojenwenimana, a member of a cooperative in Ngachenye with 37.38 hectares forest, affirmed their certification with entering this market. We are told about the collaboration from the proper management of forests, and we see benefits from what we are told about capturing air pollution like carbon. We received it well because we were initially concerned that since it had been revised, it might be owned by the government. However, we received it well because the citizens will receive money from it and their tree will continue to grow. Stakeholders in Rwanda's carbon market are optimistic, as the global market collected over $104 billion, and they anticipate a significant portion will benefit Rwanda. Patrick Rukundo, a carbon market specialist, announced that by 2028, the plan is equipped 1.2 million households with devices to purify drinking water. He estimates this initiative will prevent the release of 3 million tons of carbon emission that will have otherwise been produced by deforestation for firewood.
And the way we intend to get back the money that we invest in carbon in distributing these ceramic water filters is that we have companies that we are working with to just count, do the math, and see what we have saved into the environment. I mean, the emission that we have reduced into the atmosphere, and then we have that we have other company, especially abroad. Currently, we are working with British Petroleum and two maybe other companies who come to buy the carbon credits that we have, the emission that we have reduced through the atmosphere. This helped them also in return to meet their net zero commitment, as in most of the cases, some of them don't have the capability to just meet their net zero commitment. So they come and invest in projects such as this in developing countries that have the potential to reduce emission. So we work with them, we sell our carbon credits to them, and then in return we get back the money to keep funding the operations.
Adam Bradford, a representative from CO2 Cap Africa, praised the increased financial allocations to the carbon market. He explains the strategies for integrating local forestry into the market.
So we originally discovered Rwanda through the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting last year. And for the past year and a half, we've been doing feasibility and research to look at the market here. Rwanda just recently launched its carbon trading framework at COP28, which is really encouraging because for us as a business, we want to help countries that are not yet trading in the carbon market fully to realize their full potential. We also care about social impact, so we want to be able to give back to the communities where we work, help local citizens to improve their livelihoods, and we just felt that due to the leadership and the vision of Rwanda that this was a very good place to do it.
The World Bank highlighted that in 2023, the carbon market raised $104 billion, which now has the capacity to counteract 24% of carbon emissions. Previously, the market could only mitigate 1%. Environmental entrepreneur for Stephen Ngoma, while supportive of Rwandan participation in the carbon market, emphasized the need for careful strategies to ensure the country fully benefits.
If those people emit gases and make a profit of $10 million from it, how much of those $, will they give you? They won't set a fixed amount. Instead, they will say for every ton of carbon you remove, this is how much we pay. He may take $1 million and give you $5. Are you profiting or you are losing twice? We need to have experts who can calculate, and we see what profit a citizen gets from this.
Although Africa accounts for only 4% of global air pollution and is abundant in forests capable of offsetting 600 million tons of carbon each year, it receives just 2% of the global carbon market revenue. Ishimwe Sandra, RTV News.
Thank you, Sandra. Moving ahead, the local administrative entities development agency, LODA, in collaboration with the Belgian development agency, Enabel, highlighted the achievements of the 5-year urban development project. The 18 million euros project focused on building infrastructure, including markets, special master plans, and creating jobs for the youth in order to develop cities in the areas of Rubavu, Musanze, and Rwamagana. Intervention manager at Enabel, Matthias Piani, noted that good cooperation between the government of Rwanda and its partners is what made this project reach its goals.
The most important is really to have a good partnership with the government and to work hand in hand with them and with the district at central level and at district level. And this is, I think, really the key element to succeed in this kind of project, and also with the challenges that we had with COVID and all that. If there was not our budget, or most of our budget passed through the Rwandan procurements, through the Rwandan authorities, and we are there to support. We are not on the pilot seat, we are on the co-pilot. So we are cooperating, but we are working together. But the one that has the hand on the activities is the government. And then we are there to support. And I think that with LODA we have been really working very well, also with other government partners. And I think that this is one of the elements of the success of this project.
Indicated that the implementation of this project has reached 84%, costing 15.4 million euros. And among the projects carried out are food markets in Musanze district, the modern market in Rwamagana district, and others. It is expected that the second phase of this project will start in July. And to other matters, Rwandan manufacturers call on enhanced export support and development of emerging industries in the new industrial policy. We again do have the details with Sandra Ishimwe.
Manufacturers in Rwanda producing a range of goods have requested that the new industrial and trade policy focus on increasing exports and bolstering emerging industries. This call was made during a consultation organized by the Ministry of Trade and Industry to gather input for the new industrial policy covering the next 5 years. Many of these manufacturers specialize in products made in Rwanda. Entrepreneurs owning these factories highlighted achievements under the government's 7-year program to develop the industry. However, they urge for more efforts to increase Rwanda's exports and support small and medium-sized industries.
Things
to appreciate as leather manufacturers because there is ongoing work to elevate this sector. Our goal is to advance by establishing leather processing factories, build collection centers, and provide training facilities for our youth in leather manufacturing. We are very pleased with this and also extend our gratitude to our government. Further improve the quality of our products made in Rwanda, not only for Rwandans, but also because some are exported worldwide. The second point of hope we have is that seeing how Rwandan is standing today, there is a thirst for information or products made here to be exported. And indeed, industries of foreigners are increasingly investing because of the ease with which they are satisfied.
No, the land is very small. We don't have enough space. The business is growing every day. Workers are coming more. Business, we always export to many countries. So we need another land. Nearby, near our neighbor, they have a small land, but they don't want to sell. Very costly. We requested for a long time, but they don't want to sell. They say, you pay how much, very costly.
Minister of Trade and Industry, Professor Ngabintsinzi Jacques Chrysostome, revealed that they have started receiving feedback from investors on the new industrial and trade policy for the second phase.
We prepared this meeting with our partners in order to assess ourselves regarding the journey from the last NST1, and of course preparing the new policies. We are revising industrial policy and trade policy to make sure that we can align with NST2. So we are just collecting ideas, we are collecting orientation, we are collecting strategies with our partners in order to finish those policies and be able to implement them on next 5-10 years and make sure that we can have an improvement in terms of productivity mainly and the reduction of prices and have Made in Rwanda boosted.
Albert Solé, responsible for the private sector at the World Bank Rwanda office, commanded Rwanda efforts to boost industrial development and promote locally made products.
In moving into action. So we are at the World Bank very keen to support the government in the next steps forward, which in my view will require that we combine the analytical body of knowledge that the World Bank brings to the table with the capabilities that the government and the private sector will need in order to facilitate this process towards increased competitiveness and higher productivity.
In Rwanda, there are 2 dedicated industry zones, the Masoro Industrial Park in Kigali and Bugesera. There are 7 other industrial areas across the country. Infrastructure, with the government intensifying infrastructure development within these zones to enhance their operation and attract more industries. Ishimwe Sandra, RwandaTV News.
And this brings us to the end of tonight's edition. On behalf of the entire news production, as well as the technical team that made it happen, many thanks for being with us on today's edition. And up until next time, stay safe and we wish you a great evening. Goodbye.